All right. In this one, I'm going to remove, or rather, maybe we could just copy it down and then replace some of the stuff. So I would suggest turn all this stuff off, and then I'm going to copy this down. You can group that and name it whatever you want. The surface I created, I'm just going to put it on a layer and then hide it. Same with the other point that I created. So back in Grasshopper then, what I'm now going to do is show you how to take the same scaled geometry that you see here and extrude it in the z direction based off of obviously the same proportional relationship that we just generated. So I'm going to delete this extraneous mesh stuff here, and it looks like this should be enough right there. So it's actually incredibly simple. All we have to do is just take an extrusion and oh yeah, sorry. We just take the extrusion and we assign it based off of the distance value. So you could either use the remapped numbers or you could go all the way back to the original distance itself. And so what I'll do is go under transform, I'm sorry, not transform, surface and freeform and extrude. And the geometry we're going to extrude is going to be the cells that we scaled. And the direction is going to be either the remap numbers or just the original distances, but in the z-axis. So to do that, I can just go into vector, and I grab a unit z. Now unit z basically just means any list of numbers that I plug in to this unit z value, they're going to they're just going to basically turn the vector into a magnitude in the z-axis for whatever it is. So if I want to be able to make it parametric rather than static, I'll essentially have to maybe add an amplifier later on. But let's start with just our list of remapped numbers. So if I plug the remap numbers into F and I go over to my perspective view, what you're seeing is a list of, or a series of extrusions that are appropriate for their distance away. So the farther they are away from the curve, the taller they are. So now the other thing that is very, very important here is to know that that's not the only list you could ever need. You could also use the distances themselves. So plug that into F and what you'll see is that it's a much more exaggerated difference. Kind of looks like Raiders of the Lost Ark. Okay, and just real quick, I think on the subject of this, before we close it out, these extrusions are not capped. So if you want to get them solidified, you have to use cap holes, which I don't know where it is in the menus, but let me find it real fast. Control-Alt. That's under Surface and Utility. Boom. And that makes them capped. So now we can change it from the original point back to the curve, or from the curve back to the original point, like that. Or if we are using the curve, we can move the curve and rotate the curve. whatever you need to do to that geometry, you have it set up to be readily modifiable. Okay, so that pretty much does it on our abstract exercises before I move into something that's more practical, where we're going to do the signal box building. So what questions do you have on this at this stage? Where do you think it can be useful for you in design? Hmm?
Quicker.
It's quicker?
Yeah.
Quicker how? Quicker for what?
If you want to create a pattern shape.
Yeah, sure. But what kind of pattern shape would you need to create? Potentially. Anything.
Like you showed us the building today for the surface, the outside.
Thank you. Like in the building that I showed you today, yes, you can use it for that too. All right. So let's get into that in a little bit. I'm going to give you guys a little break, and then we'll move on. A little anxious over there?